Welcome back. And today I'm gonna talk about my tilemap editor that I've been writing. It's finally in a state where I would say it's feature complete as far as the minimum requirements for a tilemap editor are concerned. There's still a lot to refine, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk about what a tilemap is and why we care, or rather why I care. So a tilemap is a data structure that allows you to specify a, map based on a grid. And that's what we see here. We see a grid. If we look at the data structure behind it, it's simply a grid of some sort that consists of typically layers. And each layer consists of basically tiles. And that is an index into the tile map itself. And so, for example, this tile here, if we get rid of everything except the top, for example, this tile here indexes that tile in the texture, and the bridge is down here. And games like Pokemon, Factoria, Metroid, etc., Zelda as well, of course, generally use tile maps for performance and efficiency reasons. They originated in a time when memory, especially RAM, was very limited. And you can imagine that trying to load large maps like Pokemon has, for example, on a Game Boy or a SNES would have been very difficult to do, if not just impossible from the memory requirements. There's still a lot of uses for them today. First of all, it allows you to easily switch things like between day and night. For example, if you have a tile map that has the same indexes but a different lighting systems, you could easily switch a map from day to night time with no effort at all for all maps that you have that use those those tile sets. The reason I care about it is because I'm starting to, or I want to write a few games just for fun. I have no commercial interest in it at this time. And I'm going to use a tile map. And since I like to make things from scratch, I might as well do my own tile map format and my own tile map editor. Now, I was considering to use a standardized tile map version, format, but there is none. Each game engine has their own, and at that point I might also just define my own format. My format is nothing too wild, we just saw it. We have a version that allows us to change this format over time. A map has a dimension, we have layers, a layer has a name, it has a reference to a file, that is the tile set itself, and then how many, the dimensions of the tile set in tiles. So it's 8 tiles wide and 133 tiles tall, and then the size in pixels of a tile within the image. That does mean that we can have differently sized tiles in the map dimension. The map itself does not say anything about how large it's going to be drawn, or if it's rectangular or anything like that. And anyway, and then in the tiles we have the indexes into the tiles themselves. And the index goes from the top left to the right, so 0, 1, 2, yada yada, and then down. So this is index 7, this is index 8, this is index 16, because it's 8 wide, and so on and so forth. As far as this features, we can create layers based on already loaded tile sets. If we wanted to recreate our bottom here, we can draw by simply we can use the eraser and then recreate our bridge here. and then go to the bottom layer, actually, and then recreate our terrain. Drawing has a few issues right now, and that is if you draw really fast, you can see it missed this tile. That is, the drawing currently purely depends on the events that the operating system dispatches, and if it just decides to not send us an event while we're drawing, then we're just not going to draw. There we go. What? On that tile. The solution to that is simple. You can just interpolate, and I may or may not edit soonish. I kind of want to get started on other projects as well, not just get stuck in this forever. The size of a brush would be useful, the same as a possible flood fill that just either fills the entire thing, or maybe if you have a border, fills only that border with tiles. Because if you imagine having a large tile map of some sort, that would be extremely annoying to go in and say, okay, this is all ocean, to go and start painting all of this in. It's gonna take you a while. Brush size alone would already alleviate a lot of that, but flood fill would help, same as maybe a flood clear. One would need to think about what does it mean when you have a larger a brush. So if you have selected more than one tile, what does it mean to flood fill? You probably would tile it like this. Oops, tile it like this. Or maybe you just forbid it. I'm not sure. Same with brush size. What does it mean for brush size to be 3 wide? Is it are you drawing this one in a 3x3? Or are you drawing it basically, oops, like this? I'd be inclined to just not permit that. Yeah. Right. Obviously, wait, I never showed that. You can also load new tiles. There are a few requirements for loading a tile set. First of all, the width and height needs to actually properly tile the texture. If it doesn't tile it, that's a problem. It's not allowed to be 0. And since the textures reference these images by name, they have to be unique. That does mean that if you reuse the same texture with 2 different tilings, you will need to save this texture twice, which you could find a way around it without any issues. You could reuse the same base texture, but it's going to be extremely rare to basically not at all that you're ever going to tile the same image in 2 different ways. It's just a thing you could theoretically do. So, for example, if we tiled this like so, then a single tile would be multiple tiles in this one, but it would be compressed down. Of course, because it's the tile map itself has its own grid size. We can, of course, save it. Let's put this back down to a reasonable size. We can save our tile map. Which will save all the textures and the tile map specification itself. They're all here now. And if we restart this, and then we can also load our tile map. That is the one we had before. Or I could also show it like this. Right. I cannot make any statements if this works on any other operating system or any other GPUs. This is currently not WASM compatible because the file handling is hostile to WASM the way I've done it. But that is also the only thing that's a problem for WASM capability right now. Everything else should be fine. And the async code specifically and the file system interactions can be replaced. And that wouldn't be too complicated, but instead of saving and loading to a folder, you would probably need to use some sort of archive, like a zip or a tar. Because in a browser, saving multiple files is non-trivial without annoying the user. It's easier to load and save or upload and download a single file instead of a folder of files. Would also just be probably a good idea to use a archive format anyway. Pretty much everything's written by myself, including the UI framework. So this is not using anything existence. This is my own framework. It's sort of part of the exercise here. Things that I've not written are encoders for images, because I am not gonna write them. I have a limit of pain where I'm saying that is enough from scratch. I have not written the GPU backend, obviously. That is vGPU or web GPU. Because I'm not going to drive GPU backends and drivers. That's a pain. And the other thing that I've not written is the bindings to the file system interaction, because I've done foreign function interfaces in Rust before quite a lot, and it's just not fun. Yeah, there's nothing really to learn here. All right, and this is completely single-threaded, so while the we're blocked while the file system interaction is open. It's not crashing, it's just, it doesn't do anything. We do have error handling. I guess I should talk about that. So it doesn't crash. It just tells you more or less useful errors. Some are very, very much less useful. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I had to say about it. And I want to start working on like a Stardew Valley kind of game or Factorio style game. I'm not sure yet still. But it would certainly be boring if it's played in a black void. Anyway, see you around.